So we've heard a lot about Gliden, both Gliden the abstract and GlideinWMS TM. So our first speaker from Fermi is Marco Mambelli, who's the root of all GlideinWMS. So he's going to be speaking about all the new stuff that he's been doing in the last year. So without further ado, here's Marco.
Thank you. So I'll be talking about GlideinWMS a little bit also. Very short introduction, many might know the system. So the Glidin workload management system, it's a pilot-based provisioning tool for distributed throughput computing. So it provides elastic virtual Condor cluster, starting from different resources that are put together in a single cluster. So on the right, you can see in green the pool that the users use, and the actual resources might be heterogeneous. We use the Glidin, which is just a name for the pilot. And it's basically testing the node and customizing and starting the Condor execution point. The factory, it knows how to submit Glidin to the resources, so knows a little bit about the resources, the configuration, and uses Condor to actually send the Glidin to the different resources. And the front end have the logic and heuristic to decide where to provision the resources. Depending on what the job needs, what's available, they maintain a pressure, so they use all the resources where the jobs could run, so that the jobs are running the quicker that is possible. So the goal, so the system, if you want a little bit more Condor details, zooming in, right? We use a lot of Condor in all components. On the bottom part is the factory that's using Condor to submit to the different resources. So all the way to access the resources are provided via Condor. On the upper left part is the user pool, right, with the access point, the central manager, and the execution point that's running on the Glidin. And we even use a Condor as a mailbox to communicate between the components, between the front end and the factory. We try to maintain a contained operational effort, right? A big VO like CMS that's operating factory, multiple front ends, has a big number of FTEs, so 2.5. Mostly, though, developing their customized monitoring and surveilling the sites. A small VO that's just operating a front end and monitoring the site, and the Condor pool can run everything with less than 0.1 FTE. And mostly, again, it's for monitoring. So generally, the software is just running. A little bit of history, since there was a lot in the previous talks. So actually, we, as a software, we have been always very connected to Condor and even to this conference. So the project is almost 20-year old, and actually was presented in 2007, the Condor Week at the time, right, was called, and has been used since for CMS to run production and for other experiments, neutrino experiments at Fermilab, and then later June. And we have to thank also the CHTC group and the different VDT, OSG, and then path collaboration to help us also distributing the software. So we have been using their infrastructure to package the RPM and distribute them. One of the goals is always to maintain smooth operation. So we went through some iteration of the protocols, one recently, two previous, but we have always maintained so that the components can be updated one at a time, and they are backward compatible. So the software aims also to evolve with Condor and Python, adopting new features and taking advantage of them. we were the first workload management system to do a full demonstration with tokens when our collaboration switched from X509 to tokens. And also the Python 3 migration, right, were one of the first projects. Currently, we have been refactoring a little bit our credential modules and introducing more flexibility and generators. We have been completing projects to provide CVMFS on demand, so it's always available also when the nodes are not providing. We are working about to complete something that we actually promised to the Condor team for a while, to reduce a little bit our, or eliminate or at least reduce our wrapper script so that Condor SSH2 job can be used also when the jobs run in container. And we are working on supporting more resources where to run. Let's see all this a little bit in reverse order. First, different resources that we can submit. So from the beginning, we could submit to Condor, of course, and grid resources at the time, the Globus Gram protocol, right? And then we have been following with Condor with the support of all other system, different batch system with the improvement that were done, NordoGrid, AWS, or different EC2 supporting clouds, remote submission to cluster via an SSH bridge using the grid batch universe, HTCondor CEs, Google, Azure. We have been doing some test prototypes, those not yet in production, to submit to sites that have no network from the worker nodes. That has been quite challenging. And it's time now to add new support. So the board is going towards running more jobs on HPC resources. And the Bosco way that we use to access is no more sufficient. So there are new API provided by NERSC or IRI or Globus Compute that will have to add. And we have been talking to the Condor team to work on that. In the meantime, we actually started, so NERSC has been fairly graceful to grant an exception to run there via SSH and using Bosco, but they really push to use their super facility API that they have been having for a few years now. And since it's not yet available in Condor, we have been starting working on that. And a student that started working with us, we started a project to have, and we were able actually a couple of days ago to run some test jobs on NERSC using the super facility API to submit the Glideins running there. We have to thank also the Pegasus team, which has done a similar effort modifying the BLAP protocol in Condor. And we worked on that and improving a little bit the way the submission worked. The next step is to submit to support another API for HPC submission, the Integrated Research Infrastructure API. So finally, different Asker resources, they seem to agree on a common interface that will allow to submit jobs to multiple HPC sites. And we had discussion yesterday with the Condor team that will start working to support this API. We might do some tests in the meantime, but definitely long-term we'd like all this API to be supported via Condor so that we'll have more stable support for this way to access resources. I mentioned in the other topics that we have been working lately, it's to provide a smoother access to CVMFS. So the CVM file system is used by a lot of experiments to access the software stack or containers or other data that's read-only from the worker nodes. A lot of sites provide CVMFS, some do not. So if the VO really needs to run that, we use a tool, CVMFS exec, to provide that. So automatically within the Glidine, we mount CVMFS so that the job can find it when they run. And especially if the job runs in container, it will also find it to the expected mount point / CVMFS. Another work that, so we said we were the first one supporting tokens, but when we added that software, we modified a little bit the existing software and did some changes. And actually, our credential handling library really needed a little bit of scrubbing and cleanup. So we took advantage of changing that and working to add also some new features for the credential generator. So now it's easier to use multiple credentials. So with tokens, you don't have, before we had a proxy that was basically used, present everywhere and used for everything, right? Tokens now are short-lived. They are specific capabilities. So you want many and handle and be aware of what they are used for. So we added that flexibility in the configuration to add tokens and parameters that before were kind of clumped together with the credentials. So parameters can, for example, say which is your username in a system or which allocation you are using. We made the mechanism more flexible, so now you can specify fallback credentials. So try to submit with a token. If it's not working, use the SSH key. But you have to send also a project ID or ID token so that the Glidine can join back the cluster, right? So we can use this syntax now. It's easier to configure also the front ends. So the front end configuration before, if you had to specify specific attributes like an allocation to use on site A and a different one on site B that was not needed on other sites, you had basically to repeat 3 times the section of group, we call it, where you select the jobs and say which site you want to use and specify the attributes. Now we can use a generator. So in the attribute, you just put a dictionary. We'll say on site A, use this allocation, site B, this other. By default, you don't need the allocation. This makes the configuration much shorter and reduce the problem of keeping consistency and duplication. So we really encourage operators that are using GlideinWMS to switch to the new development 3.11 version so that they can use these features. With the refactoring, with the upgrade, we did also refactor improvement of the code quality. And now it's easier to specify also generators for credentials. ID tokens that are used for the Glidine to join the cluster can be customized, right? On some sites, we needed to make them with a longer lifespan so that they could survive the time in the queue. We have also easily added self-signed site token that you get in the front end and you can use for testing easily to run on your resources. The one component that is still a little bit missing and sometimes causing problem is a robust mechanism for the renewal of the token. So what's happening is that the ID token to join the pool goes to the EP, but then cannot be renewed. So if by chance the central manager is needs to reboot or is crashing for someone needs to restart, it's losing the session credential, so the EP cannot rejoin the pool. It's a rare occurrence, but we had it a couple of times. GlideinWMS, in short, aims to simplify resource provisioning. So it's a workload management system that has been used in production for almost 20 years. It's aiming to improve the provisioning, simplify also the operations. Currently, we have been focusing on providing access to more HPC resources, making CVMFS more available, and simplify the operation and the use of credentials. And like to thank again the Condor team for all the supports over the years. We'll keep requesting to scale more and to add some new features that will help us in our satisfying our stakeholders. In particular, now we are really focusing on the support of HPC resources, and maybe, if possible, even the credential renewal mechanism would help. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a question for Marco? We have one down here and one in the back.
So as GPU support's been maturing in GlideinWMS, is it clear what the next heterogeneous resource type? Is there anybody asking for TPUs or FPGAs, or are there any other types of resources that you're seeing in the future, especially as you're doing more with the DOE ecosystem?
Not yet. Even that's actually something that we want. Even with GPU, we want to kind of take care a little bit better in the provisioning. Like in GPUs, at the moment for the provisioning, we distinguish between having or not having GPUs, but some people want NVIDIA or they can work on different architecture. So that has been, that's something that we are currently discussing, how to be able to differentiate better between different capabilities at the site and improve the provisioning.
You mentioned both Super Facility API and IRI API. Do you think there's any fear of, more like APIs in that kind of vein that might be spawned in the near future?
There might. Super Facility has been around at NERSC for a few years, and they said that IRI is where they move, and they will agree, and they agreed between different sites to use that one. So that's the direction. So if we support that one, then we don't need the others. We have also another player actually there, which is Globus, which is pushing its Globus Compute API. So I don't know how we'll play between the two.
There's no more questions. If there's no more questions for Marco, let's give him a final round of applause.